Welcome to the podcast. Really excited. Got a solo show today, and we're talking all about back to school. We're going to talk through some prep on back to school, like before the first day of school, even maybe a little before the staff comes back. And then we're going to give you some tips on how to survive the first day of school because there's a lot going on. We want to capture and share as much as we can on social media. So I reached out to my experts across the country that are doing social media for schools, and we've got some great advice for you in this episode. Now, we're gearing up. It's almost August of 2024, and I want to make sure that you are supported all year long. We have weekly shows of sharing tips and tricks and strategies for social media. Never miss an episode by simply subscribing. Okay. Go to your favorite podcast app and make sure that you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. So before we dive in, we're going to dive into a real quick K-12 PR tip. All right, today's quick tip is all about the changes that are going on with Meta. Many of you have expressed frustration, confusion, all of the feels with Meta Business Portfolio. So many of you have heard over the years that Meta has something called Meta Business Manager. Well, they're making yet another change, and they are renaming it Meta Business Portfolio instead of Meta Business Manager. And so kind of confusing because of course, why wouldn't Meta make it confusing? But some of you are actually running into issues with your pages being converted to this business portfolio, and you're having challenges adding new admins to your page. Now, you used to be able to add admins from the backside of just the Facebook page itself. And then also you could add people with their email that they use to access Facebook through the Meta Business Manager. You could add them either way. Well, now it appears, because we do social media management for over 80 school districts across the country, it appears that those pages that are being transitioned over into Business Portfolio, you are no longer able to add them on the page itself. You have to add them through the Meta Business Portfolio. And you guys, leave yourself some time, because we've had lots of issues with some restrictions and playing around with that. This is one advantage. Many of you are in my membership group, but I do trainings and open office hours and live office hours and all of these things each month with Zoom sessions where I'm helping people to kind of troubleshoot this. Unfortunately, I don't have a catch-all, and it's always something different when you're kind of looking at these things. But take a look. Don't wait too long, and just know that you may have to access through Meta Business Portfolio, which kind of used to be called Meta Business Manager. You're going to have to add admins now through that instead of just through your Facebook page. And so just a little heads up, if you're having issues, you're not alone. You're going to have to kind of spend some time navigating that, but just make sure that you are inviting people with the email address that they use to access their Facebook page. It's just another reminder that it's really good to have at least a couple admins on your page. We have had some people restricted access and locked out. And when you have more than one person as an admin of your page, they can try too. So Stephanie Sins on my team, she's my chief people officer. She does a lot of this with our 80 plus schools. But then if she can't get into it, she has me look at it, and usually I can. So you always want at least two people. All right. That was kind of a longer K-12 PR tip, but guys, struggle's real. And if you want more assistance in a group setting, you can definitely check out more about our membership program. So now let's get in to talking all about back to school and first day of school. All right, guys, I have some notes over on my left if you're looking at this podcast online, which we do share it on YouTube. You'll be able to see my bright orange shirt and my hair up because it's a warm summer day. We're still soaking up the last little bit of summer. But if you're like me, we are gearing up for back to school. and first day of school. Many of you, some of you start right at the beginning of August, which seems crazy to us up here in the northern parts, because it seems like most of us start towards the end of August and even the beginning of September. But I wanted to break down some kind of sanity saving tips and ideas for you for back to school and then your first day of school. So I reached out to a lot of people across the country to ask for some best advice. Of course, they came through, and I'm going to share those with you. This is kind of just a lot of helpful tips. And you guys, the show notes for this episode are going to have a lot of links in them. We're also putting this together in blog format so that you can take a look at the blog as well. I'm not sure when that's dropping. So definitely check out the show notes of today's episode, and you'll be able to see some of these examples. So first of all, back to school, social media, it's a big time for information and, definitely sharing some things. But before the first day of school, one helpful tip, and this was a blog from last year, Megan Anthony had shared this with her school district that she has done in the past, and I actually implemented it this year in New Auburn. I created a Facebook album, and it has some Canva templates that I customized to my school. And it has a bunch of the back to school information on it, all in one spot. When you put something together in an album on your page, it really allows you to have, kind of multiple things grouped together. And I have a back to school guide. Right now, I have one picture that has all of my first day of school information, one that has my school supply list, one that has any back to school forms, one that has some important dates. And there are some other things too, bus route information, maybe the schedule, start times, end times for your schools. So really helpful way to just kind of organize and put things out. It also gives you a link to go back to, that if you want to post it on your social media pages again, like your Facebook page, you can just post a link to that album, and I'll get them all the details for back to school, since it is hard, very challenging to be able to put all of the links and all of the information in one post. For example, supply lists. I have a very small school, so we just have one supply list, and it's got 4K through 12 all on one link. But many of you have separate links for separate schools. So it's really nice to be able to do that. So take a look at that. If that's something you want to do, there's still time. You could definitely create that. We're really fortunate. We have access to the Canva template that Megan had created and shared, and that's available for our members in our membership group. And so I was able to quickly go in there and customize that. That's not free for everybody. You can learn more about my membership group on my website. Second thing before the first day of school, just don't forget to introduce your new staff on social media. Before even the first open house, welcome those people that are new to your district or your school. Also, maybe there's some new people that have, or there's existing people that have new positions, and maybe announce those. You guys, those do really well, drives a lot of engagement. You usually end up drawing in a lot of new followers because there's new families that are now paying attention to what your school is sharing. So again, you can share those on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever channels you're sharing on. But those new staff posts are really great. Now, you can get a little information from your new staff if they want to share a little bit about themselves, or you can simply say, hey, welcome to our school or school district. Meet this person, and this is what they're going to be doing this school year. Help us give a warm welcome. Usually you'll get a lot of comments. Okay. Again, before the first day of school, I could do an entire episode just on convocation or your staff, like back to school in-service days. But one that I really loved was actually an Instagram reel, which showcased how students were involved in welcoming back the staff. Okay. So this school district, I'm just opening it up right here, West Valley School District, they welcomed them back with their cheerleaders And I think some of their band members really treating them like superstars as they came back to school. So just thinking about, hey, can we get creative? Again, doing it is one thing, and then highlighting it on social media is another. So you will see exactly how West Valley School District did that. But just another idea to think about. Okay. Getting your students involved in welcoming staff back to school. Okay. Another thing when it comes to staff is Dawn Bronner out of Portage, Wisconsin. Last year, she shared a reel of staff members just simply holding up a sign that said, Happy First Day of School 2023. Okay. Happy First Day of School 2023. And so that morning of the first day of school, she was able to share that reel, and it did really well. Okay. She can share that reel. If you are on TikTok, you could share it on TikTok. This year, and I've got an example linked in the show notes of what that reel looked like. This year, she's thinking about having the staff hold up a sign that says, It's my first day of blank grade, depending on the number of years they've been teaching. So, if they have been teaching for 10 years, it's my first day of, whether that would say 10th grade or 10 years of teaching. So that might be a fun way to change it up. And of course, you're going to listen to some of these ideas and you're going to come up with something even better. But I think getting your staff really seeing those familiar faces and saying, we can't wait to see you. And hey, it's the first day of school. That's really powerful. Okay. So thank you, Dawn, for sharing that. When staff get back to in service or seeing each other again, making sure that you snap some photos. Okay. Snapping some photos of them hugging and just being happy that they're back at school and that they're excited about the new school year. That can be a great post. I've got an example in here from RVC Schools, Rockville Center School District. And they've just got some really great smiling faces. They pose for the camera. Some of them, they were just giving hugs and showcasing that their caption was simply, lots of hugs and smiles from our teachers and faculty members as we head into the new school year. Drop a heart if you're excited for school too. So they had a few interactions, and of course you could share that on Instagram. You could share that on Facebook. Okay. So when staff get back, snap some of those pictures too. And then you also, in addition to, creating something like welcome back with a sign like Dawn shared, Jamie Brace and her team at Claremore did the little glasses where it looks like the glasses kind of stay put and the faces change. And it's a great way to welcome them back. And of course, capture those on the first day of staff being back so that it can be ready to share and letting people know that, hey, we're really excited for the new school year. So that is just another example. Okay. Now, there's another idea. And again, this would be something that you'd want to share before the first day of school. And this is from Hempfield. What they did was they actually created a little printable sheet that says first day of, and then you fill in the blank grade. And then they said, my favorite subject is, I can't wait for, and I want to be a blank when I grow up. It left spots in for you to type, to write in. So she gave really simple examples. Download this, print it, fill in the prompts, pose with it before you head off to school. Okay. So this is just another idea if you wanted to try to encourage people. And I never was very good with those chalkboards or, my kids holding up a sign in front of them. I was lucky enough to just get a first day of school picture. But if you wanted to try something like that, that is there for you. And you could design that and get that out for your followers to be able to share. Okay. So there's a few back to school before the first day things to think about. Now, I don't want any of you to be stressed out right now and be like, oh my gosh, I can't do all of this. Of course you can't. Pick one, pick none. I don't care. But we're just trying to get you to think about getting ready for the first day of school and back to school. Okay. All right. Let's move on to one of the best engagement tips and the best user generated content ideas of the year, which is first day of school photos. Because whether or not they have a little sign to hold up in front of them for the first day of school, parents are taking that back to school picture. Okay. And user generated content is when we, as social media managers of pages, get content from our followers. Okay. And so we want to get those pictures from the parents so that we can post them on our page. Okay. So we've got an example, and you can go to the show notes of just one idea. You can, of course, use any of them that you want. This was kind of using a simple layout that we did in Canva, where we just said, welcome back, share your photos. And it just says, hooray, it's the first day. Welcome to the new school year. Go Hibbing families. This was up in Hibbing, Minnesota. Then it says, we'd love to see those smiling faces. Share your family's first day of photos in the comments below. So for this on Facebook, all we did was ask our followers to share the picture right in Facebook. They could upload it right in the comments. Okay. Now, Melissa Marty is our membership coordinator here at Social School for EDU. Actually, she's our director of membership. She's amazing. And she actually does the social media for Hibbing. And she shared some really good advice. So first of all, in order to allow people to post photos in the comments, you have to enable the permission to allow followers to add their photos in the comments. Okay. You could also ask them to email them to you. Okay. You could, if you're nervous about opening up photos because you don't know what people are going to post, which, is valid, but most of the time it's fine. We've never really run into a big issue, but if you're nervous, you could offer out an email address instead. I really think it's easier for people just to add their own photos. In order to make sure that they can share photos in the comments, okay, go to your Facebook page, go in the upper right-hand corner and make sure you're logged in as your school page, okay? Then you're going to go to settings. You're going to press on your little icon up in the upper right-hand corner and you go to settings and privacy. And then you go to pages and tagging. And then there's going to be one of the choices. It's going to say who can post on your page. You're going to have to toggle that to everyone. Okay. That's the only way right now, as you're listening to this in 2024, to allow people to be able to upload a picture in the comments. Okay. So make sure that you have that enabled. Now, Melissa really likes this way of doing and collecting first day of photos because it keeps your inbox from being swamped with those first day of school photos and having all the different people commenting with their own photos. When you do that, it actually helps the reach of the post because Facebook, it helps the algorithm, you guys. It shows that, hey, people like this and they're interacting and they're posting pictures. So it's really good for your algorithm. Now, one ninja tip, kind of a pro tip that Melissa shares is be sure to schedule this post on Facebook after the kids are on the bus. Okay. Melissa shares when I've posted it at 6 a.m. in the past, it doesn't get as much reach. And she thinks parents see it right away, but their kids are still getting ready. And in the morning and it's chaos and, I still can't find my backpack or whatever. And then they take the picture, but then after the kids leave, the post is further down in the news feed. So Melissa kind of suggests posting it at 7:30 or 8 a.m. that day might be a better time for asking for those first day of photo pictures. Okay. So does that all make sense? I hope it does. You will get a lot of pictures. Okay. Now, if you are nervous about them posting them themselves, like I said, you could have them email them into you. Or Jason Laz out of New York, he says he set up a Google Voice number and he asks families to text in their photos. and he's gotten hundreds of submissions that way. So obviously a Google Voice number, if you were going to do that, you might be able to do it for other activities, homecoming, dress up days, text in your son or daughter's pictures. Might be an easier way for you to do that. So that's another option. I just want to throw that out there. Whatever is best for you is great. Now, what I suggest you do once you've received these pictures, okay, once you've received all these back to school pictures, you could put them in an album on Facebook, because that way, if you started an album, you could always add more pictures later instead of just posting them. Okay. So I like an album for that. But you also could wait a little bit, and then maybe in the evening, you put together a quick reel, or maybe you share those pictures in stories. Basically, because your parents and your family sent in those pictures, they're okay to use on the page. And so you're okay to be able to showcase those in a variety of ways. So don't just have them comment in and don't do anything with the pictures. I don't suggest that. You should definitely take those pictures, then assemble them in an album or put them in a post, put them in a reel, share them on stories. It's really good content. Okay. So those are those first day of school photos, something you definitely want to get prepared with, so you kind of have your strategy going into the first day of school. Okay. And if I'm forgetting something, you can, email me, tweet me at Andrea Gribble. Let me know. There's a lot of different ways to do this, but I hope you consider doing this for that first day of school. Okay. All right. Another thing that I wanted to share kind of along these lines from Jen Bode. She is with a private Christian school in Arizona, and she's at a high school. So kids don't a lot of times share photos or the back to school photos as much. So what she suggests is standing outside and taking as many pictures as possible as kids are coming to school. She posts them early on the first day, and then she does caption the Facebook that includes share your photos in the comments or send to, an email address, so parents don't feel weird about contributing after seeing the whole collection. So that's just another suggestion, not something that might be able to work. Thank you so much, Jen, for sharing your tips. So don't miss out on the user-generated content. Those are great pictures. Honestly, I've actually even done on Instagram. I've kind of taken over the feed depending on how you put pictures on your feed, but I've actually just shared individual pictures and put maybe 20, 30. I'm from a small school, so 20, 30 individual pictures so they all show up on the grid, because kids like to see themselves. Okay. And parents like to see their kids. So instead of putting them in a carousel of 10 at a time, we actually put them together in just an individual post and kind of have a lot of great back to school smiles. Okay. So great ideas there. Now I just want to end today's podcast with just some must have photos or photos to really think about. And I know that I had some great suggestions. And one of them was from Delana McCormack, who does social media for one of the biggest school districts in the entire country. They have like 150,000 students. So it's a really big district. But she's like, don't get super overwhelmed. Like, post that, hey, send in your back to school pictures, and then maybe grab a few at school. And then maybe you're posting at the end of the day, hey, look at all these faces, but you're not overwhelming yourself too much. Okay. Because there's a lot going on. But here's some must-have photos or things to really think about. And one that's fairly new, but maybe your school's been doing it for a while, senior sunrise. Senior sunrise is a tradition of the seniors get together on their first day of school. They usually sit at the football field and they watch the sunrise for their last first day of school. And then usually the sun sets, their last day of school, they kind of join for that sunset. So get with your seniors. If you know a few kids in that class, if they're doing that, ask them to snap a picture. Or maybe if they're sharing it on Instagram, they could collaborate with the school page and collaborate with you so that then you could have that on your page as well. So that's something to think about. But senior sunrise, great idea. Another idea, greeting kids off the bus. Okay. I am a parent. I never was a teacher. There's lots of excitement that happens at the school, but if I'm sending my, kindergartner or, student off to school, I see them when they might get on the bus, but I don't see them when they get off the bus. And you guys, if you can have somebody at the end of that bus greeting them, it is so powerful. It just highlights like how we're really setting them up for success. And so in the show notes, I have a reel that Allentown schools did on their first day of school. And their executive director of facilities was greeting every single student as they got off the bus with a high five, some of them with a hug. It's just such a good feel good like moment to capture. So really recommend that you consider that and see who's responsible for greeting the kids as they get off the bus, but then making sure to try to capture that. Okay. And it wasn't something real edited, just pretty much in the moment. It wasn't even that close. It was kind of farther away. You couldn't even see the kids' faces. I know one thing that you might be thinking about is first day of school. It's a little bit maybe tricky to know exactly who can be pictured and who can't be. So standing a little bit further away may be an answer to that. Okay. So take a look at that. And then as you go through your school, if you have a mascot, those and poses with the mascot, great back to school pictures, right? Plus, like a lot of these pictures could be used throughout the year because people are usually in really good moods on the first day of school. There's a lot of smiles. Okay. So people posing with your mascot. If you have an SRO, a school resource officer, some poses with them. Also your lunch crew, your custodians, and your bus drivers. So whether that's just them or whether it's them with students, you guys, those are really good pictures to capture. Okay. I have one post that says first day of school. And I know that this school, the SRO team, I think did a lot of donations with some of their things. They also had a therapy dog with them. So that was a really great post that came from Fountain Fort Carson School District number 8 in Colorado. Had over 300 likes and loves, 19 comments, 41 shares. You guys, so technically that could be a picture you take on the first day of school, or you could prep that, okay, for your community to be able to put that out there, and it's going to garner a lot of engagement. So think about those key groups that you could highlight that way. And then finally, looking for hugs and high fives. That's what I call it, right? Hugs and high fives. There's a lot of those on the first day of school. Let's look to try to capture some of those. And again, we zoom with our feet. We try to get fairly close. We can capture them just with our cell phone. If you have a fancy camera, great. But I really urge you, take that first, when kids start getting off the bus, whatever time that is, to when the bell rings, make sure that you're, taking pictures, traveling around your school. And if you have multiple schools, you can't be at all of them. So what I want to urge you right now is think about who at each of your campuses could potentially help you. Okay. Maybe it is an instructional coach. Maybe it is a student or student intern. If you have student interns, if you can have them help you out. Maybe it's a secretary or somebody. Well, they're probably pretty busy on the first day of school. There's a lot of people that are really busy at the school. Maybe you can get even a parent volunteer or somebody from your PTO or PTA organization to help capture a few pictures. Okay. So otherwise, if you are a huge district, we just need a little bit of representation, right, from the schools. And if they do their own social media pages, definitely scan what they share throughout the day. And maybe you can pull some of those images in to a simple reel that just says, hey, we are really geared up for the best year ever. Okay. So those are my back to school tips. One bonus tip that I just want to share is that at the end of the week, one of the cutest posts that we've had shared is just like almost the meme of like where you're the first day of school And then by the end of the day of school, right, like you're just exhausted. And so, whether you can take pictures of some of the kids that are really tired out, maybe it's some of your staff members that are super exhausted after their first week of school, but yet, hey, we're going to rest up and we're going to be ready for you on Monday again or Tuesday if you start before Labor Day, like we do at our school. So that could be another way to end the first week. So I just want to kind of put that thought out there. Did I forget anything? If I did, please make sure to comment. Let me know. You can always email me, Andrea at socialschoolforedu.com, or tweet me over at Andrea Gribble over on Twitter or X or whatever you're calling it these days. Lots of back to school excitement. Take a deep breath. Preparation is key. Like I said, you are not going to do all of these things. You can pick out a couple that are going to work for you. And then you're going to get better and better and better as the years go on. Okay. So very excited for back to school 24-25. It's going to be a great one. I'm going to be here the whole year long, helping you celebrate your school in big, big ways. And next week, we will be back on the podcast with another fantastic episode with another guest. So make sure that you join me. And until then, keep telling those stories and let's get ready for back to school.